Howdy gang, Nismo D21 checking in. I know it's been a while and I apologize, but when you buy a house and you have 2 dogs and a cat, it really makes time tight. But I wanted to check in and make sure that you guys knew that I wasn't letting the channel die or go by the wayside. So I wanted to give you an update on this guy here. For those of you that are just finding this channel, this truck is part of a series called Building a Fun Street Truck Using Junkyard Parts, and it's basically like a 30-part series that starts with me rebuilding the suspension, changing the brakes, changing the rear axle, adding little ricey things here and there. And I finished that project last year, and then I've just been driving the shit out of this thing this year, using it for all kinds of stuff. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what I've changed and what the future might hold for this thing. First off, you'll probably notice that the stripes are gone. I did that last week because they were looking pretty ratty at this point. I did a poor job installing them, and then time and the sun have really kind of not been kind to them. So we'll show you what it looks like without the stripes, and I think it looks really good. I think the stripes made the truck look a lot shorter than it really was, and it kind of made it look like it had a tucked up behind. But so that's without the stripes. We'll go show you the other side. Wasn't too bad. They just peeled right off because they were coming off anyways, so it wasn't that bad at all. Secondly, you'll probably notice that the roll bar is now gone. I removed that yesterday. Last year, when I went through my ordeal of having to leave the original Nismo D21 shop and go through all the hassle that I was going through with buying a house and everything, you know, sometimes you just want to keep things fresh. Sometimes you just need a change, and that's the nice part about taking things off and putting things on. You're really able to change things around and give something that's been in your life. I've had this truck for 7 years now. You do something that's been with you for 7 years, you can give it a completely fresh look and a fresh feel just by adding and subtracting things. So that's what I did. I subtracted it, and it gives it a much more streety kind of look to it, and I'm actually kind of happy with the way it turned out. It looks really good. It's subtle, yet it's enough that people will look at it and look at it sideways and go, what was that just drove by? You'll also notice that I took off the 1987 Pathfinder grille, and I put one on that came off of a 1990 and newer truck. So it's got that the same grille that the green truck has, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than I took off the slot wheels. You probably have seen me talk about that. I took off the slot wheels because I did not have the right lug nuts. They seem like the right lug nuts, but this thing was shaking itself to pieces pretty bad. So I went back to the white wheels, and actually I really like the white wheels because they're just different, you know. Slots are cool, and I'll probably put them on something, but the white wheels in this truck have been married since pretty much the year I got it, so that I'm sticking with. So that's another change that probably I have mentioned in the past. So if you rewind and look at some of my junkyard find videos, you'll notice that I mentioned that I went down to a junkyard down in Bath, New York, and I scored a Weapon R intake. So I just want to show all you guys that the Weapon R has been installed. And while it is a warm air intake, and a lot of people will complain that I'm kind of hindering this thing, I find that because I'm running the auto computer on this thing still, that it runs a little rich. So having a warmer intake kind of helps out a little bit. The only thing I had to do was that these studs here, I had to change out the studs to ones off of a 1998 Frontier automatic. I think it's the same for a manual, but the one that I took it off of was a automatic, and that's because the length of the studs are different for four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, and they're different for different years. So the ones that were on this truck originally were too short. The ones that are on a four-wheel drive are too long, and So I had to keep trying, and finally at the junkyard I came across a 98, and I grabbed the studs off of it, and they came out to be the exact perfect length. The only other thing is that I bent up a piece of metal here and bolted it to where the airbox used to be, and this thing is pretty good. It doesn't sound too different because this truck's got a cherry bomb exhaust on it, so it's loud to begin with, but you'll see it fits. The hood closes, and you know, I'm happy with it. So yeah, you guys, thanks for subscribing, and you know, sorry this video is short, but take care. Like, share, and subscribe.